Hello, and welcome to another lawn fawn video. Today we are introducing our die set, Plant-A-Succulent. This die set is so cute and helps you make the most adorable potted plants, so let's go ahead and check it out. Plant-A-Succulent comes with a ton of dies in it. There's that super cute pot and then a bunch of succulent plants that you can add to the pot. This set is so much fun because I dream of being a plant lady, but I'm just not good with plants. But I can be a plant lady with my die cuts with these adorable sets. And I also love that we have super cute smiley faces in this. So you can use the pot on its own, or you can use these adorable little smiley faces and cut them from the pots. And there's 4 different styles of smiley faces. So what I do is just line it right up in the center of the pot, hold it in place with some low tack tape, run it through your die cut machine, and you'll see you have a super cute little smiley face. And then here is a look at the other styles of smiley faces, and I think it's so cute on a card to have all 4 plants with all 4 different little smiley faces on them. There's also some cute little rosy cheeks that you could add to the pot or not. This set has other details that you can add to the pot. So here we have some edging that looks really great towards the top of the pot. Then you'll notice those die cuts that we have above that are black and brown. Those are meant to go behind the pot. So we're going to flip the pot over and add some adhesive to the back. The ones that are cut in black are going to color in the little eyes and smiley faces, and the one that's brown is going to be the dirt at the top of the pot. And so you'll see as you layer those behind, which is super easy and quick to do, when we flip the pot over, you'll see that now we have the details of the smiley face and the dirt in the pot. Next, we're going to add the plants into the pot. So we'll add a little adhesive to the bottom of the plant, and then you can actually tuck it right into the die cut because you've got that little spacing there between the back of the pot and the front of the pot. So you can actually tuck the plants right in. We're going to add those little cactus there and then the cute little flowers to the top. Then we'll start to work on the next pot. So we're going to add the lid detail to the top. Then we're going to flip the pot over and we'll add our adhesive to the back. And then we can layer on the black cardstock that's going to add color to the eyes and mouth, and the brown cardstock that's going to be the dirt. Now that this step is done, we can start potting our next plant. And these ones you can either use on their own or layer them. And I really like to layer them. So we're going to add some tape runner to the back and then layer that right on. And it almost has the look of like a little lotus flower or a fun succulent. I don't know the names of all the plants, but oh my gosh, they're so cute. Then we're going to tuck that plant right inside behind the lid, but in front of the back of the pot. And then we can add those cute tiny little flowers on either side to help fill in the pot. And I think that looks so very, very cute. My favorite way to design the pots and then kind of like the lid edging detail for the pot is to use a lighter color for the pot and then a darker color for that rim. And I think it looks so beautiful that way. And for these pots, we've been using the new textured cardstock. And what I love about the textured cardstock is that each pack has a ton of shades of one color family, and it's perfect for these succulents. And that's how we're able to get these beautiful different shades of green or purple, or for the little pots, the pink or the blue, etc., is by layering these gorgeous colors of textured cardstock. And so here you'll see we've used 2 different shades of kind of like a sage green color, and they look so stunning together. And then we're going to move on to our last pot and layer those pieces too. Now I love using plain cardstock or this textured cardstock for this, but you can also do inking with these plants. And Shari is going to show us that in her card, which is coming up really soon. And oh my goodness, her card just blows me away. And the way she adds inking to colored cardstock is so cool and so amazing. So now we have our last plant that we're going to pot here. So we're going to take our cute little leaves here in 2 shades of green. We'll add a little adhesive to the bottom, and then we can tuck them right into the pot. And I love how you can see that little dirt area kind of sticking around the plant. And so here we have a look at all of the different types of plants that you can create. And as you can imagine, you can mix and match all of these for different looks. Here's a look at a pot that doesn't have a smiley face. So you can see the comparison between ones with smileys and ones without. And we're going to show you both of those in cards that we're making in this video today. And then here's a comparison of making a kind of like a terracotta pot below. So you can really mix and match these in different ways. It's so much fun. And right now, Shari is going to show us an incredible card. So take it away, Shari.
So I'm making a card using the new Plant-A-Succulent dies, and I've already cut out all my pieces. These are going to be some very colorful succulents. I decided to kind of go with a rainbow of colors on this card. So all my pots are cut out in warm colors. I cut out the rims of that pink pot and that orange pot with a darker cardstock, but I didn't have a darker yellow that I liked. So I'm just using some wild honey distress ink to darken up the rim of that yellow one. I'm going to use that same ink to ink blend around the bottom and the edges of the pot to give it some shading and make it look nice and round. And I'll do the same things on the pink one and the orange one, even though I didn't need to color the rims. I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of liquid glue right above that stitching line that the die creates, and that's where this little rim is going to go. This is kind of a nice feature if you want your pot to have two colors. And you can also see I've gone ahead and I've cut out a smiley face in all of these little pots. So I'm cutting out some pieces here. These are some storm cloud pieces. These will go behind the faces. And then these pieces are some paper bag cardstock, and that will be the dirt in the pot. So I'm going ahead and putting that behind the face. This is on the back side. And then I'll add a bit of liquid glue around the top. I'm not putting it on the bottom so that if I need to tuck any of the plants down into that opening in the pot, the bottom of the dirt piece is not glued down. Now I'm moving on to add some of this slight ink blending shading to my other pots. So I just put it on both sides of the rim, and then I'm doing just like I did on the yellow one. I'm using worn lipstick for this one. So I went around the sides and the bottom, so basically all the edges of the pot shape. And then I'll just add the little rim. Flip this over, add that storm cloud die cut piece behind the face. And then do the same thing for that brown paper bag dirt piece that goes on top. So you can see how these are starting to come together. And then of course I'm going to add the same ink shading to my orange pot using some rusty hinge distress ink. So just to kind of go over the papers that I used on these, for this orange one here, the rim is canned pumpkin, the pot itself is fake tan. For that pink one, the pot is guava and the rim is raspberry. And then for the yellow one, the pot is sunflower and the rim is sunflower with wild honey distress ink on it. So I'm just assembling this one, and then all my little pots will be assembled and ready for their plants. Again, only adding liquid glue along the top edge, so I have a bottom piece where my plants can easily tuck behind. So now all my little pots are done and ready for my succulents. I'm starting out with this green one here. This is cut from Cilantro Cardstock, and I'm going to ink all these as well. For these, I'm using Distress Oxide ink. This is Lucky Clover. I really like the look of Lucky Clover on Cilantro Cardstock. I like that these are two different shades, but also two very different colors of green. You have that really like clover green, and then that more chartreuse yellowy green. Now for the purple ones here, I cut these pieces from some Sugarplum Cardstock, and I'm using Villainous Potion Distress Oxide to darken them up. So that one with 2 petals there is going to layer behind the one with 3. So I'm going to make sure that I pull that dark color up a little bit higher on the smaller piece because it's going to hide behind. Now for my third succulent here, these pieces are cut from some Mermaid cardstock, and I'm just using Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide to darken them up. I'm using 1 of the larger ones and 2 of the smaller ones for this one. And then now I can start to assemble them. So I've kind of laid them out how I want them on my card. I want these green ones to be in this center pot, in this pink pot. And I'm just layering both of them together in the bottom of the pot. And then I'm going to put some little pink flowers on top of them. The flowers are cut out of Guava Cardstock, and there's a couple sizes in this die set. So I can put the big flower on my big cactus, and then I'm just going to put a smaller one on that smaller cactus. And I like that this matches the pot that this one is in. Now for my purple ones, I'm just going to layer the smaller one with 2 pieces behind the one with 3, and you can see there how that darker color that I pulled up more on that second one behind contrasts with the lighter at the top of the one that has 3 parts to it. So you get a nice contrast with that ink blending. And then for the third one, I have those mermaid succulents there. I'm going to start with my largest one and put it in the center. And I'm tucking all these into that slot that this die makes at the top of the pot. And for this one, because I wanted it to look like 3 different sizes, I'm actually going to trim off a little bit so I can tuck it down in there just a little bit more so it doesn't match the one on the other side and it doesn't look too symmetrical. It's like arranging flower arrangements to put these together. It is very fun. So here's my 3 succulents. And then I thought it would be fun to add some splatters to them. So I've taken a piece of paper and just put it over top of the pot so that my splatters stay on my succulent pieces. I could have done this first, but I really didn't think about it till I already had them together and I wanted some shine on them. And then now I'm going to work on my card base. So my card base is cut from some kraft cardstock. And I'm just taking some tea dye distressing and darkening up the edges to give it some definition and kind of tone down that really light craft color a little bit. And I'm only doing that at the top. The bottom I left the same. I'm going to put a piece of cardstock down there. And now I'm taking the new Skinny Stripes stencil, and this is the straight one, and I'm just lining it up. I'm going to put some subtle stripes in the background, almost like wallpaper, using some Yeti ink and an ink blending tool. And I'm basically putting the ink on the tool and just pulling that white ink down from the top. So you're going to kind of get this look of those white stripes as they just fade into nothing, sort of like the way the tea dye ink looks on the card base. It was moving a lot at the top, so I added a piece of tape to help me hold it in place because all my magnets are on the bottom and I'm pulling down towards the magnets. And I'm just working it in, going back and forth to kind of get the look that I want. So you can see you get that nice subtle stripe. I did decide I wanted to pull it down a little bit more once I saw sort of where my plants were going to cover it up. I do want it to come down and kind of disappear behind my plants. So I've moved my magnets to the top, realigned it, and I'm just pulling that white pigment ink down a little bit further. So instead of going back and forth, which might make the stripes move, I'm just swiping with the grain of the stripe, basically. And then I'm going to add some gold speckles to this background to match the speckles that I put on my succulent plants. Now this is the bottom piece, so this is some chocolate bar cardstock, and I'm using this wavy stitched border to basically create my ground or my tabletop for my succulents to sit on, and this is where my sentiment's going to go. So I have this sentiment from Simply Celebrate Sentiments that says, "You are awesome," and I'm going to white heat emboss this onto this dark brown cardstock. So I'm just adding some anti-static powder. I've got it in my Misty, and I'm using the clear embossing ink, and I like to stamp it twice, make sure I have some good coverage. And then I'll just add my white embossing powder to that. And then I'll heat it up with my heat tool till it's nice and melted. You get that nice bright white sentiment on that dark cardstock. And then I'll just take my damp chamois and wipe off the excess of that anti-static powder that's on there so you get that nice clean dark brown back again. Now for the rest of the sentiment on this card, I'm using this Hi There bubble from the Chit Chat stamp set, which I think is a really nice one to add and makes this for any occasion. And I'm stamping it in River Rock ink on speckled eggshell cardstock, so I have that nice kind of cream color. It's not too bright white to kind of distract from the moody colors that I have going on in my card. And I'll use the coordinating die to cut that out. Now before I start gluing down my images that I created, I decided I did want to add a few more speckles to the background, and I'm using some white watercolor paint to do that. This matches my white stripes that I made earlier. And I've put a piece of foam tape all along that piece that goes along the bottom where my sentiment is. So it's popped up from the card base a little bit. And then I'm going to do the same thing to all my succulents that I've already assembled. So I've put some foam tape on the back. I'm starting with the one in the center, so I make sure everything gets centered. And then I'm going to put the ones on each side to flank it. And you can see I even put little tiny pieces of foam on these little leaves of this one so that they're nice and popped up and supported. And then of course finally there's that little hi there, which I just think is super cute, like the plants are talking to you. And then here is my finished card. And I love all those shimmer and sparkles when the light hits it, and I really love those colorful ink blended succulents. So I'm going to be making some green succulents, and this new textured canvas cardstock pack, this is the green pack, is perfect for this because it has 5 different shades of green cardstock. They each have a little bit of a texture on them, and these are perfect for making some green succulents. Now I've cut a few of them out, and I'm going to be using the Really Rainbow Petite paper pack for my background. I'm using this rainbow stripe, which is my favorite one in this pack, and I'm going to be making a tall mini slimline card. So all I need to do is cut this 6x6 directly in half. So I have a 3" by 6" piece of rainbow, which is perfect because I don't have to cut off any of those rainbow stripes to do that. So now I have my background piece, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down to a card base. Now I created a top folding mini slimline card, and I did this by taking a nice thick piece of 12 by 12 cardstock paper that I found and cutting it in a piece that is 12 by 3 and folding it down the center, so I get a 6 by 3 top folding mini slimline. Now for my little pot here, I cut this from some speckled eggshell cardstock, so it's got those fun little specks. This piece that I'm holding here is the background piece that fills in the pot, but what I'm doing is I'm looking at the curve of that. I like the curve of that, and I want to mask off the top of this pot and create one of those pots that has like a dark bottom to it. So I'm just taking a post-it note that has adhesive all over the back of it. I die cut it out with that die that's used for the piece that goes behind the pot opening so that I have a mask that has that nice subtle curve to it. And this matches sort of the curve of that stitching detail on the pot. So I'm just going to mask that off, and then I'm going to use some black soot distress oxide to ink up the very bottom of the pot. This looks much more natural than if I just took a straight piece of tape and gave it a straight line. I'm also going to spritz this with some water because this is oxide ink, so I want it to kind of oxidize a little bit and get that sort of chalky effect. So I've just spritzed that with water, and then I'm just going to dry it before I pull off that masking paper because I want to keep that nice sharp line. I want to make sure that that ink isn't wet and doesn't splatter over past the line. And now I have this cute little pot with a dark bottom to it. Now I can layer that piece of cardstock that is cut from Storm Cloud cardstock. I'm just layering that behind the opening. Now I only put glue on the top and just a tiny bit on the bottom. I want to keep that opening open so that I can tuck my plants down into my pot. So I started out with these 4 pieces that you see here, cut from 3 different colors of that green cardstock. And I'm just tucking them in and layering them together, and I'm trying to make this look very full. So I'll just tuck this one behind that other one. I'm using my tweezers to help open up that opening a little bit. And then this smaller one, I'm just going to glue to the top of that dark green one. Now I decided, because this is a nice tall card, that I needed to fill it a little bit more. So I cut out another one of those little leafy pieces from a 4th color of green. So I'm actually using 4 of the shades of green that are in this pack. This is kind of that darker olivey color. So we have those bright colors in front, and the dark colors in the back. And then I have one last one to kind of give it a little bit more height. So this fills up that nice tall card very well. And I'm just shifting it around to get it where I want it. And then I'll just set that aside. I'm going to work on my sentiment next, and I'm using the Happy, Happy, Happy sentiment set. I'm using this happy here. I'm stamping it on that speckled eggshell cardstock so that the die cut of this happy will match the color of the pot. And then I'll just use the word birthday and stamp that directly onto that background piece. So I can add a little bit of liquid glue to that die cut happy and just layer that right above the birthday. And then before I put my pot with succulents on, I wanted to kind of dress it up a little bit more. So I'm using some twine and I just wrapped it around twice. I'm holding it on the back with a piece of washi tape, and then I'm going to tie a little bow. Makes it look like a nice little gift that you're giving someone for their birthday. And then I'll just trim off the ends of this string so that they're not too long. And then I can glue this directly onto my card base. I'm not using any foam because I'm leaving the tops of those succulents kind of loose so they can curl out a little bit, and that will give me kind of the height that I want on this card. And then finally, I'm putting some little black hearts. So I have this little tiny one. I thought that looked really cute on the pot. And then I have the other two sizes. These are from the Hearts and Stars Skinny Tag die set, just cut from some black cardstock. And then here is that finished mini slimline card with a pot full of beautiful green succulents. I think this looks super cute on this rainbow background.
Oh my goodness, Shari, I am just so in love with these cards. This one with the rainbow background is so sweet, and I love how you added the little tiny heart to the pot. And then, of course, this ink blended masterpiece is just gorgeous. I had created those succulents at the very beginning of the video, and I knew I had to use them on a goodie bag for my friend Ivy because she loves plants. So I've die cut 2 of the goodie bag pieces, and now we're folding along the score lines that the die has created for us. So we're going to fold there to the side, over at the top of the bag, and then the little tabs that are sticking out. Next, we're going to use some 1/4-inch double-sided adhesive, and we're going to add that onto the tabs. So we're adding that to the outside of the tabs on both of these pieces. Now we're going to flip them over, and we're going to add some more of that adhesive to the inside of one of these pieces. Then we'll peel that up, and we're going to line up these two pieces kind of like they're in a T shape, and we'll adhere them together, and you can start to see the bag forming. The next step is to peel up the liner paper on the adhesive that we added to the tab. So we're going to do that on all 4 of those pieces. Then we can bring those sides up and line them up with the edge of the other piece, just like this, and that's going to start to form the bag. So I'm just going to line up each of those edges and press down to secure it. Once everything is secured, what you're going to do is take your fingers and we're going to push in the sides right there, and that's going to form the gusset of the bag. There's a little score line the die creates. You can push in, and now you can see you have those beautiful little folded edges, and then that rickrack at the top is just so adorable. Now we're going to take some of those little potted succulents that we created at the beginning of the video, and we're going to be adding this onto the front of the bag. And so I'm just going to add some tape runner on the back of both of them and then layer those on. And then to personalize this gift, I'm going to take out Henry's ABCs and die cut that from some more textured cardstock in this beautiful lavender color. And then we're going to start to layer Ivy's name on the front. I'm going to start with the middle letter, the V, and that way I can kind of move out from there. So we're going to add the V to the center, and then we can add the Y and the I. I'll add one more succulent to the side just to help decorate, and now this bag is done. It's super cute, super easy to create, and it's so much fun to give a personalized gift. Now, next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team. And this first card by Megan just blew me away, and her sentiment is so cute and funny, and I just love the colors that she used. Here, this card by Audrey is so beautiful, and using that brick stencil is such a good idea with these gorgeous potted plants. Here, I love how Elena used the How You bean jar and created her own little terrarium. It's so cute and so sweet. This card by Callie is so fun, and she shows us that the Plant-A-Succulent is just perfect for the platform pop-up. I love this card so much. It has so much gorgeous detail, and I just love the inking that she did. Mindy was also inspired to use the brick stencil, and I love how she used this shelf from Perfectly Wicked to create shelves for her potted plants. So cute and clever. Here, I love how Grace also used the How You bean jar, and she created a really cute custom sentiment using Henry's ABCs, and look how cute the succulents look in the jar as if it's a little terrarium. I love how Elise was inspired to create bookmarks. These are so cute and sweet. I just love them. And I love the little sentiments that she has in those speech bubbles. Absolutely adorable. Kara made a plant wall using circle die cuts and some beautiful wood grain cardstock, and oh my goodness, I am completely blown away by this creative idea. This little mini card by Letitia is so cute and sweet, and I absolutely love the color combo that she did for this. And then Lynette made some adorable cards using some line borders and also our Simply Stripes dies, which add a cool wood paneling in the background, and I just love both of them. So we cannot wait to see what you guys create with Plant-A-Succulent, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!